It's showtime.
Hello everyone and welcome to the STPL. I'm Kix, joining me is Rapid, and we're here to watch the finals of round 2.
I want to watch the finals. I just want to sit here and watch. Everybody else can go out there and like cast them or do whatever. Yeah, I mean, this should actually be just a spectacle to behold. Now, I will say that perhaps there will be some similarities between our third, fourth place match and the finals in that, you know, Seoul is a very strong clan with many very strong South Korean players, and they were able to 4-0 defeat Red. And Team Red is like one of the strongest non-Korean clans in STPL this season. So will history repeat itself? I don't know, because honestly, NetWars have just really impressed. They've got some of, if not the strongest players in STPL this season, but so does White Clan. And because of some substitutions that we'll talk about here in a second, their roster's just incredibly stacked as well. So I actually can't wait to get into the finals of Season 2.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Just to iterate on what Rapid just said, have a look at the overlay. You can see the top 10 players overall in the STPL so far. In the top 10, we currently have 2 players from NetWars, one of them being Yeti, who is miles in front of the pack at 13 wins, 2 losses. Close behind him for White is Famas2 with 9 wins, 2 losses. And then kogeT, of course, the main guy of NetWars, down there in 6th place with 9 for 3 as well. And then we have Bayern, who just sneaking on at the bottom with their 7 wins. So lots of really good players on both of these teams. And I mean, okay, I've just shown the wrong screen. That's all good. So we're going to have NetWars versus White. Now, NetWars have done incredibly well in Group B in this round of STPL. They did take down 4 of their opponents, and they had 1 loss. But they did make it to the playoffs. They did lose, sorry. No, wait. They beat Red in the playoff semifinals. My mind is frozen. I don't know about Rapid Ball being frozen. I'm the one frozen here. But they had some very strong opponents. And their opponents, of course, winners of round 1. They are White Clan, 6 for 1 this round. They did go 8 for 1 last round. And they've both got some incredibly good players.
Yeah, I mean, both rosters just absolutely incredibly stacked. I think one of the most key parts of, you know, any sort of pro league format is which players wind up facing off against each player. If you send out one of your weaker players against one of your opponent's stronger players, well, yeah, maybe you're destined to lose, but, you know, that kind of uses up their strong players. So ultimately, you just want to have a team full of strong players, but there is some strategy involved, and so I do think it's kind of cool the way that the players matched up against each other, if you want to go ahead and render that.
Yep, so first of all, let's just quickly go through the maps. So set 1, we're going to have Return of the King. Set 2 is going to be on Flight Dreamliner. Set 3 on Troy. Set 4 on Triathlon. Set 5 on Hitchhiker. And Set 6 on New Sniper Ridge. Now, of course, it is a best of 7 for the finals, and we're going to be finishing up here on the ace match, if we make it to it, on Neo Electric Circuit.
That's right, and like you said, this is a best of 7, so A, hopefully the code doesn't break, and B, I do want to see it go like all the way. I mean, if we do actually get all 7 games today, then I mean, just how much better could it possibly get, Kicks? I don't know, but I'm super excited to find out.
Yeah, and just to go through the players we're going to see in what order we're going to see them in. Starting us off on game 1, we're going to have kogeT versus Famas2 in a TBT. Bonnet versus Ho will shortly follow. In a PvZ, Yeti versus First. In a PvP, Yeti, the PvP master, getting sent out against many Protoss players. And then a ZVZ between TrueTouch and Ghost, although I believe Ghost is actually Protoss, so it's going to be a ZVP. And then a ZVT between Radley and Iris. That's going to be... Okay, that's a TBT. I'll need to fix that. I don't know why Radley's showing as Zerg, but you know what? Radley is a really weird guy, so he can play all 3 races. Then finishing us off in the 6th game, we are going to have Mazur versus Bai in a PvT.
Yeah, so I hope it goes all the way, Kicks. Honestly, our first 3 or 4 matchups should really define the way that this series is going to look. I would say that having Yeti play a PvP on Troy is just giving a really strong opportunity for NetWars to take that series, and the way that this is going to start out between Famas2 who's subbing in and kogeT, I mean, these are just like the two of the strongest players on their respective rosters, so I really just can't wait to see how this series works out.
Yeah, so kogeT working as the captain. He stepped down for a little bit just while he fosters the birth and the growing up of his young baby that he's just had with his wife. But he did go 3 for 1 in this round, 6 for 2 last round. Famas2 going 1 for 2 this round, but last round he did go 8 for 0. So Famas2 doing an incredible job last round. And he's actually been taken out by a couple of surprising people this round, but should be cool to see how he does against kogeT here as we head on to our first map, Return of the King. Now, Return of the King, we've currently only had 3 TBTs. Map balance, of course, does not matter too much in mirror matchups, but there is mineral-only third bases you can take, which are little islands, which we've seen used in a few instances, especially for things like tank drops. You can hit the main command center from there. Makes it a little bit more annoying to clean up, but of course in the semi-finals we did see Goliath taking out 2 tanks on that position, so not the strongest. But either way, very, very cool map to maneuver around with vultures, tanks, very easy to split as well, depending on the spawns. So I think the only thing we can do is head into the game and see how this pans out. And starting us over here in the top left-hand position, we do have the blue Terran player fighting for NetWars. It's going to be kogeT.
And his opponent playing for the legendary South Korean clan White. In the bottom left-hand corner in the yellow, it's Famas2.
After a slight bit of micro there, you'll notice the replay is moving at normal speed, so that's always useful. Especially in a TBT, I remember once I was casting a game and someone like midway through like this 40-minute game was like, "Hey man, is it just me or is this a little bit slow?" And then when I hit the replay progress bar, it was on faster. That was definitely fun.
Nice one, Kicks Boy. Anyway, I'm glad that we have rectified everything, and let's actually just go ahead and get this started off. So in the end, this is going to be a TBT. I guess in the beginning, it's going to be a TBT as well. But one facet of all great TBTs, especially if they are in best of series, is that you never truly know what to expect. And indeed, this will be no different, as kogeT does send out his first 2 SCVs for a few barracks in the middle of the map.
Yeah, now he is going to build this first one. I think the other one's going to be for a scout. I don't think he's going to do BBS here, or if he is, he's being really, I almost want to say sensible, because if he builds one over here as well, he's not screwing himself over with spawning locations. And there we go, he's actually building 1 at each base. If you can't 8 racks in 1 location to take out one of the mains, why not 8 racks in 2 locations? And he's going to be building that supply depot back at home.
Yeah, so ideally you want to have both of your barracks built in the same location because it minimizes your opponent's chance of scouting you. But, I mean, there's always the counterpoint that says, well, hey, if I only get one of my racks scouted, you know, maybe they only think it's 1 rack and they misjudge their defense. As is, you know, the Bs and the S's will all be involved in this build for kogeT. And I mean, what a way to start things off, right? Some people might say this is a realization that he thinks that Famas2 is, you know, too good. I would say that against a lot of the most fundamentally strong players, you really do have an advantage when you try to throw something weird their way.
Yeah, and especially in a team league as well. This is the first of a best of 7, so there's a lot of games to make up for it if this doesn't work. It is a gamble, but if it pays off, that does give NetWars that 1-0 leading into the series, and that can be such a psychological advantage.
Now, all of the SCVs, not all of them, but quite a few, being pulled to block off the ramp here because the scouting SCV for Famas2 gets into the main and says, wait a second, there are a few things that aren't here that should be. Those things are called barracks. But already several Marines out. We have the first 4 and, of course, the 2 SCVs that scouted the other locations, now all kind of coming in together. 3 breaking the ramp, and while, yes, there is a bunker, there is just there's gonna be a whole lot of Marines here, Kicks.
Yeah, there is, but the trouble is bunkers are incredibly strong against Marines, and Marines in the bunker do get a little bit of a range advantage. I think they get +1 range by default. But here we go, it looks like he's going to try and use the SCVs to run past the bunker, but the SCV blocked by Famas, he is very, very good, and it looks like the Marines of kogeT aren't going to get past. And GG!
That's it, GG, wow, the absolute shortest. So he's tried to stand and fight on the ramp. You almost have to run by the bunker at that point. And also breaking up before the 2 racks really kick in.
Yeah.
Like you have double your opponent's production. So the longer you have twice their production, the better. But I mean, on the other hand, there's a factory coming up, and vultures are just pretty good. And the gas steal by Famas2 on the other side was really, really good. So I was very impressed by that game. What a way to start things off here between NetWars and White.
Yeah, it's certainly not what I expected. I thought with kogeT being so strong in TBT, we may have seen a macro game, but I guess kogeT wanted to try and get that quick win. But the gamble just didn't pay off for him. Now that's going to take us over to our second game. So we'll be back after this.